Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up already tired? You glance at the day ahead, meals to cook, medications to organize, calls to make, and someone depending on you for just about everything, and you wonder quietly, where did I go? Where did my life go? If you've ever asked yourself that, you're not alone. Not even close. Caregiving is one of the most selfless things a person can do, but it's also one of the most emotionally draining. And after 60, when your own energy isn't what it used to be, that emotional weight can feel 10 times heavier. You may love the person you're caring for with all your heart, but still find yourself feeling tired, irritable, or even lost some days. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. In today's video, we're going to talk about something not enough people discuss openly, what it really feels like to be overwhelmed by caregiving after 60, and more importantly, how to protect your mental and emotional health in the process. We'll look at 6 powerful signs that often go unnoticed or brushed aside. These aren't signs of weakness, they're signs you're doing too much without enough support, and it's time to pause, breathe, and take care of you. Because here's the truth, as we get older, our minds and bodies change. That's perfectly natural. But just because things slow down doesn't mean we should silently suffer through stress, fatigue, or resentment. With a little more awareness, a few small mindset shifts, and some practical habits, you can start feeling more grounded again, and even rediscover little pieces of yourself you thought were gone. And if you love topics about health, psychology, and meaningful living after 60, I'd be so grateful if you gave this video a like, shared it with someone who might need it, and hit the subscribe button on my channel. I'm on a journey to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can continue sharing uplifting and valuable content with a growing community that truly cares. Now, let's begin with the first sign that you may be overwhelmed by caregiving, and it might be one you've never put into words, but have absolutely felt deep down. Have you noticed that you're feeling more irritable than usual, even over little things? Maybe someone spills something in the kitchen, or a delivery arrives late, and it sends your nerves into a tailspin. You might even surprise yourself with how frustrated you feel, maybe snapping at someone you love, then immediately feeling guilty afterward. That irritability isn't a flaw in your character. It's your mind waving a little red flag, saying, "Hey, I'm at capacity." Irritability often shows up when our mental and emotional tanks are running on empty. And as a caregiver, you're pouring out care, attention, patience, and energy all day long. If no one's pouring back into you, of course your reserves are going to run low. You might think, I shouldn't be this annoyed, but the truth is, you're doing a lot, and that irritation is a signal that something needs to shift. It might mean you need just an hour to yourself in the afternoon, or maybe it's time to ask a neighbor, family member, or community support group for help, even just once a week. One small change like that can release a surprising amount of pressure. Let's move into another sign now, and this one's a little more invisible, but just as heavy. It's the feeling that you've started to lose your sense of identity. You used to enjoy your morning walks, your little gardening projects, reading with a cup of tea, or even just watching a certain show that made you laugh. But now, all of that feels like a past life. Your days revolve around appointments, schedules, reminders, and responsibilities. Somewhere along the way, your name became the caregiver, and everything else about you got pushed aside. That quiet loss of identity can feel like a slow fade, and it hurts in a very deep and quiet way. You may not talk about it, but it might be something you think about when you're alone, folding laundry or lying in bed. I used to be me. And while caregiving is a beautiful part of your story, it's not the whole story. You are still you. You still deserve space to laugh, to feel joy, to create, to breathe. One powerful step you can take is to reintroduce just one small thing that's just for you, something that reminds you of your own spirit. Maybe it's 10 minutes of music while you sip your coffee. Maybe it's writing a few sentences in a journal before bed. It doesn't have to be big. But it does need to be yours. That small habit can serve as a gentle reminder that your inner self still exists and still matters deeply. Another sign that caregiving might be weighing more heavily on you than you realize is a growing sense of guilt, but not the kind of guilt that comes from something you did wrong. It's the guilt that creeps in when you think about taking a break or even doing something kind for yourself. You think, if I take a day off, who will make sure everything's okay? If I go visit a friend or go out for a little walk, am I being selfish? That guilt can become so constant that you stop doing anything at all for yourself, and over time, that leads to burnout. But here's something important to remember: you can't give from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself is not an indulgence, it's a responsibility. When you are rested, emotionally balanced, and mentally clear, you show up better for your loved one, too. Taking a break is not a betrayal. It's a form of love, not just for yourself, but for the person you're caring for. If that guilt shows up, try gently talking to it like you would to a scared child. Say, "It's okay. I'm not abandoning anyone. I'm just stepping back for a moment so I can return stronger." You'd be amazed how even saying those words can calm the nervous energy in your body. Let's take a breath together for a moment. Just pause. Inhale slowly, and let it out. Sometimes that's all we need, to be reminded that we're allowed to pause. Now that we've touched on how irritability, loss of identity, and guilt can quietly pile up behind the scenes, let's gently continue this conversation and explore the next ways caregiving might be affecting you without you even realizing it. Have you ever had a moment where you suddenly forgot what day it was, or found yourself standing in the middle of a room wondering why you went in there? That foggy, scattered feeling isn't always just aging, it can be a sign that your mind is on overload. And for caregivers, that mental fog can come from something called decision fatigue. Every single day, you make dozens of little choices: what medication to give and when, what food is safest to serve, how to respond when your loved one is upset, or how to juggle your own errands while keeping someone else's needs in mind. It's like your brain is running in the background constantly, like a computer with too many tabs open. Eventually, it just starts to slow down. This mental exhaustion can sneak up on you. You may find yourself rereading the same sentence in a book, struggling to follow a conversation, or forgetting simple tasks you normally wouldn't. And if you've been blaming yourself for being scatterbrained or not sharp anymore, I want to reassure you, that's not failure. That's not decline. That's a tired mind trying its best under pressure. So what can you do when you notice that fog setting in? One of the simplest ways to lighten the load is to reduce the number of small decisions you have to make each day. It could be something as small as prepping meals in batches, or wearing the same outfit rotation during the week. Those little simplifications add up. Try keeping a daily checklist on the fridge so you're not carrying every reminder in your head. That frees up brain space for rest, reflection, or even just a quiet moment to sip your tea and listen to the birds. You deserve mental clarity. You deserve ease. And it's possible, one tiny step at a time. Let's talk about another sign now, one that many caregivers carry silently: a growing sense of isolation. You might be surrounded by people all day, even talking to doctors or family members regularly, but still feel completely alone. Maybe your friends don't call as often anymore. Maybe you miss just having a light-hearted conversation that isn't about medical appointments or bathroom routines. That deep craving for connection can be especially painful when you're the one always giving to others but rarely receiving. This loneliness isn't always loud. Sometimes, it just feels like quiet sadness. A sense that life is passing by and you're not really in it anymore, just watching from the sidelines. And yet, you keep showing up, doing your best, putting on a brave face. That kind of courage deserves to be honored. If you've been feeling isolated, I want to encourage you to reach out, not with pressure or guilt, but with a gentle intention to reconnect. Maybe it's calling someone just to say hello. Maybe it's joining an online support group, even if you only read what others share at first. Or maybe it's talking to someone who understands, really understands, what you're going through. A shared laugh, a thoughtful message, even a wave from a neighbor can be a thread of connection that pulls you gently back into the fabric of life. You're not alone, even if it feels that way sometimes. And now, there's one more sign we need to explore together, one that's often misunderstood. It's when you start to feel emotionally numb. Not just tired, not just sad, but disconnected. Like you're moving through your day on autopilot. You do what needs to be done, but the joy has faded. You may even feel guilty for not feeling more, especially toward the person you're caring for. But please hear me when I say this, emotional numbness is not coldness. It's your heart's way of protecting itself from overwhelm. When you carry too much for too long, your emotions sometimes shut down just to keep you functioning. It's like your soul pulling the emergency brake. That numbness is not a sign of brokenness, it's a sign that your spirit is begging for rest. For beauty. For small, soul-nourishing moments. It might mean you need to cry. It might mean you need a full night of sleep, or to step outside and feel the sun on your skin without rushing back inside. You don't need to explain it to anyone. You just need permission, your own permission, to feel again. And feeling doesn't have to be overwhelming. You can start small. Watch something that makes you laugh. Listen to music that moves you. Touch the hand of someone you love and just breathe for a moment. Those small acts begin to thaw what's been frozen inside, gently and safely. You see, caregiving isn't just about supporting someone else's needs. It's also about learning to listen deeply to your own. And maybe for the first time in a long time, you're hearing yourself say, "I need help." That's not weakness. That's wisdom. You've given so much to others. Now, it's time to give something back to yourself. Let's keep going, gently and together, because your journey matters, and it's not over yet. Sometimes, even when we manage to get through the daily tasks, hold our emotions together, and smile for the people around us, there's this quiet ache in the background, something harder to describe, but deeply felt. It's the feeling that you've lost touch with who you are beyond the role of caregiver. And that's the next sign we need to talk about, when your sense of identity starts to fade. You might look in the mirror and not quite recognize the person staring back. Or maybe you hear someone talk about hobbies, travel, or retirement plans, and you feel a distant pang, like you've been left behind in a life you used to imagine for yourself. This isn't selfishness. This isn't self-pity. It's grief. Grieving the parts of yourself that had to be set aside to care for someone else. And it's more common than you might think. We're taught to take pride in being dependable, strong, selfless. And of course, those are beautiful qualities. But when they come at the cost of your own sense of self, something important is lost. You are not only a caregiver. You are still a painter, a dancer, a gardener, a lover of books or birds or music. You are still you. That part of you hasn't disappeared, it's just been quietly waiting to be invited back. Try this, even just once a week, do something small that feels like you. Not because it's productive. Not because it helps someone else. But simply because it brings you joy. That could be humming your favorite tune while you tidy the house, or picking up that old knitting project that's been in the drawer for years. Even 5 minutes of reconnecting with something personal can breathe color back into your day. You don't need to make a grand change. Just a quiet one. One that whispers, "I'm still here." Now, there's one more sign I want to gently talk about, and it's perhaps the hardest one. It's the creeping sense of resentment or guilt. You may have noticed yourself snapping more easily, or feeling angry when your loved one needs something simple. And then, almost immediately, you feel ashamed for even thinking it. Please hear this with love, feeling resentment does not make you a bad person. It makes you human. Caregiving, especially when it goes on for months or years, can stretch even the kindest heart. It's natural to feel stretched thin, frustrated, or even angry sometimes. What's important is not to push those feelings down or pretend they're not there, but to recognize them as signals that you need care, too. Guilt often walks hand in hand with resentment. You might feel guilty for needing time away, for wanting space, or for missing the freedom you once had. But guilt isn't always a sign of wrongdoing, it's often a sign of unmet needs. And acknowledging those needs, with compassion instead of criticism, is one of the bravest things you can do. If resentment has been creeping in, or if guilt is sitting heavily on your chest, I invite you to pause and place a hand on your heart. Breathe. Speak to yourself as kindly as you would a dear friend. Remind yourself, I am doing my best. My feelings are valid. I am worthy of care, too. And here's something else to remember: asking for help, or setting a boundary, doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're creating space to keep going with more peace, more balance, and more love. Whether it's having someone else take over for a few hours a week, reaching out to a counselor or clergy member, or simply telling a friend, I need someone to talk to, these are acts of strength. You deserve support. You don't have to carry this alone. Caring for others is a deep kind of love. But it must include you, too. You matter, not just as someone's caregiver, but as someone whose heart, mind, and spirit also need rest, joy, and freedom. So if today's video resonated with you, if even one piece of it felt like your story, I want you to know this: you are seen, you are appreciated, and you are not alone. There is nothing weak about needing rest. There is nothing selfish about wanting your life back. Take a moment today to breathe in deeply. Remind yourself that every small act of care you give, to others and to yourself, makes a difference. And if you've been carrying more than your share, I hope you'll set it down, just for a little while, and allow yourself to be held, too. You've earned that. If you found this video helpful or comforting, I'd be so grateful if you clicked the like button and shared it with someone who might need it, too. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'm on a journey to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can keep creating heartfelt content like this, content that nurtures your mind, your heart, and your sense of purpose. And I'd love to hear from you. Share in the comments below, have you experienced any of these signs? What's helped you cope, or what do you wish others understood about your journey? Your voice could be the exact encouragement someone else needs to hear today. This is your life, and it's still rich with meaning. It's not too late to find peace. It's not too late to find joy. And it's certainly not too late to remember that you matter. Deeply. Take care of yourself. You are loved. And I'll see you in the next video.